How does that look? I think it'll hold. Welcome to Life on the Moose. Welcome back if you've been here before. Let's put an awning on that Spur Cabin. Not the plastic or canvas sort of awning. Let's put a real awning up there. If a roof and a deck had a baby, it would be just like this awning. It attaches to the building like a deck does with a ledger board up there, and the rest of it has the characteristics of a roof. Before we do that, I want to reinforce each side where support brackets are going to lean into the building. Put a couple 2x6s on each side. What a day, the sun is shining. It's not supposed to be shining, it's supposed to be raining. I was doing a little bit of editing this morning and all of a sudden I looked out the window and hey, there's sunshine. So I dashed over here, see what we could accomplish. All right, let's get to work. I built this little temporary 2x4 as kind of a gauge because I want to make sure I have enough headroom and sight room as I'm in the cabin looking out the door. There's going to be a little 4x6 up there that is holding the roof up. So I want to make sure that's not in the line of sight or you don't hit your head or anything silly like that. So this is all just temporary. How does that look? I think that's about a 6x12, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Okay, here's the edge of my window right here. So I'm gonna have a 3-inch gap on the other side of the door and on this side of the window. And then that's where a 2x6 will go against the wall. My bracket will go up at an angle like this. I am gonna have a 4x4 bracket. So that means there's gonna be an inch of clearance on each side. So I want this 4x4 to match up perfectly with the very edge of my ledger on top. So the measurement from this nail here to the other nail on the other side in the same position, minus 2 inches for that space right there, and we're good to go. That's how long my ledger board is. I'm at 111 3/4. Minus 2 inches for that space. 109 3/4 it is. Okay, I have a double top plate on this wall. That nail right there represents the middle of those two plates. So I want to make sure that ledger board is able to fasten to the top board of the top plate all the way across. How does that look? I can't quite see it. Okay, that ledger has a crown on top, which is where it's supposed to be, but it's a little bit more than I like. So I'm gonna put one nail in there just to try to pull the middle down, maybe 1/8 of an inch. And then after that, instead of lag bolts per se, or leg screws, I'm going to put these timber screws in, and these are equivalent to 3/8" lag bolts. So I'm going to put a couple of these in every joist, and then several along the plate as well. It'll be plenty strong. Here's another reason why to lay out this ledger before you put it on the wall. This X represents where the rafter is going to go, and this X is the stud on the wall. So it's nice to not have those overlap, and when they do, you can make adjustments accordingly. Okay, let's do some math. My finished steel is 40 inches long. That's the one determining factor, so that doesn't change. So if the steel is 40 inches long, it'll go all the way against the building. The OSB underneath it, 39 inches long. That'll give me an overhang of about an inch, minus that little diagonal cutoff right there against the wall. So the end of the sheathing is where the end of my barge board is gonna go. So my barge board is gonna go like that, and my rafter like that. So that means if the barge board with the rafter complete is 39 inches long, I gotta deduct this thickness, which is the ledger. Ledger, of course, is 1.5 sideways, 1 3/4 at an angle. So 39 minus 1 3/4 minus 1.5 is 35 3/4. I hope that's the length of the top side of the rafters. Looks technical, doesn't it? Okay, hopefully you can see this. This right here says 0 degrees because we are at a straight 90-degree angle. So I'm gonna look at this over here. I'm gonna line up roughly 18.5 degrees, which is about right there. I put a line right here. This represents a 4/12 pitch. So this will be the top end of the rafter. Okay, let's mark some bird's mouths. What I want to do is leave about 6-inch overhang from the end to the 4x6 that's going to be supporting it underneath. So I'm going to first mark 6 inches. And that's from the bottom side, of course. What I want to do is go back to my 18.5 degrees, roughly over here, and then line up my 6-inch mark. And then I'm going to draw a line 1 inch into the wood. I don't want my bird's mouth to go too deep, and then just square it off. I can square it off with this, I can square it off with this, either way. This isn't rocket science, so I'll just throw this on there. Eyeball it, that's good. That's gonna be the bird's mouth. Here are my rafters, all cut and ready to go. So I'm not going to put joist hangers on this end. Number one, I don't have them. Number two, what I'm going to do is going to be just fine. I'm going to put a 4-inch screw, the same timber screws, one into the ledger there, and then a longer one back about an inch, just like that. I am completely confident that that'll be enough. But what I want to do is I'm going to pre-drill a hole big enough for this head because I don't want this to get in the way of the OSB. The other screw takes a different driver, so I'm only going to put these in for now. And only one for now in case I need to move anything around. So here's horizontal. The length from the end of this beam or the end of the bird's mouth to the wall is 28.5 inches. Now I'm going to have a plate that the angle bracket will lean against, so that brings us down to 27 inches. But I want to have the top part of this bracket extend past this beam 1 inch. So I'm going to cut these at 28 inches. So here's my support bracket. This is the 29.5 inch board I was telling you about. Now this one, 31.5, because I want it to stick out the bottom about 2 inches past my angle brace. So this is ready to go. This goes against the building, and I have a 4x4 that I don't have with me that I'm going to put at a 45 degrees. And this whole thing will hold up the beam. That's going to be about right there. Fit into that bird's mouth. We're good to go. It's coming along. Okay, now I need to make another one of these for the other side. Well, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it just started raining. I have my angle braces cut, minus the angle. Rafters are cut. I have 2 of the rafters up on top, ready to go. So my next step is to put those angle braces up so I can get the 4x6 on top of the braces and then put my rafters on. So I don't have those here. I'm gonna dash over to Red Moose Ranch, get those 4x4s, and I'll see you back here in a jiffy. So I'm back here on Red Moose Ranch picking up that 4x4. And I thought, well, I might as well cut it here. I have a miter saw, and I think it'd be easier. Rain or shine, at least we can get back to work. Okay, I already made the first cut. Nice 45. I still have to measure it, cut it off at the other end. So this is ponderosa pine from the fire we had several years ago. Some of the standing dead. So how long do I make this? Funny thing, when I measured it first, on the tape measure, 38 1/8 inches. Then I used Pythagoras to check my work, 38.18. Okay, my angle braces worked out. This is actually going to be the top. This section is going to be against the wall. So now I'm just going to put a couple screws in the face, and then I'll turn it around and come from the other side and put a couple big screws from underneath. Okay, I have my 2 brackets up, just held up by 1 nail each right now, so if I need to tweak it a little bit. So I'm just going to level them up, double check my measurements, make sure that I allowed enough room for the beam up there. It's a 4x6 beam, and I think my math is correct so far. You may have noticed these screws sticking out right here. They actually stick through the back when I drive them all the way. So I had to back them out a little bit. So once I get this all squared up and fastened, then I'll sink these as well. Not where my rafters go. I got it. Thank you, though. Okay, got the beam up. It's not fastened down yet. So what I'm going to do first is drive a couple screws up through the top leg of the bracket, right into the bottom of the beam. That way it's not going to go anywhere. There's not going to be a whole lot of pressure moving that beam really any direction. So once I get that screwed in there, a couple screws each side should be fine. And then I'm going to take a 4-inch screw and go right down through the middle, through the top of the rafters. There's about 2.5 inches of meat on the rafter. That leaves me a good 1.5 inches to grab the beam. Good to go. So beam first, attach this side of the rafters, and then we can start roofing. So we're ready for sheathing. Let's put some sheathing up there. Gosh, brings back memories. Look, it's not falling off. Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for coming on up. I just have these set in place. They're not screwed down yet, so you didn't miss anything. So what do you think of that awning? Is that what you had in mind when I first told you I was going to put up an awning? Not bad, huh? Functional, looks good. Well, that's it. Next time, maybe we'll install windows. They have arrived. I have to just go pick them up. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Let's get started on the siding, one or the other. All sorts of stuff to do. But thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. All right, take care of yourself. We'll see you soon.